Hi guys, welcome back to day 10 of our Christmas card series. So for today I thought we would do another fun wet and wet background type, but I kind of pre-sketched out some little reindeers and a Santa and then a little bit of a background, but we'll throw in whatever we want. So we're going to start with our wet and wet technique, but I'm going to pre-mix some of our colors first. So I'm thinking we did like a really dark background. We did our blue and purple background. So I think maybe I'm going to do a little bit of dark and throw in some green just to make it a little bit different. So I'm going to start maybe with a little bit of indigo. And I've just got a few dots of water here just to kind of pre-mix a little bit of color. So I'm going to do some indigo. I'm going to do some sap green. We can throw in some bright green into this one. And you can do whatever colors you want. I'm just kind of throwing some colors in there. I might do a little bit of viridian hue for like a bluish green. Just for something different. Maybe a little bit of turquoise. Let's see, turquoise. For a brighter blue. Okay. And then we've got our greens, and then I might, maybe I'll get some phthalo green ready, just in case I want to throw that in, because that's a really nice bright green. I might use that instead of the sap green, actually. We'll see. We'll see, because I just want a really nice pop of green. So actually, yeah, I think I'm going to use that one. And then we'll do our indigo's going to be, you know, quite dark at the top. Okay. I think that's where I'm going to go with those colors right now. And we can always add more in. As we get our colors on the page, we can drop some more colors in if you want. So I'm just going to start with some clean water, and we're just going to cover the whole thing. And actually, since this is a bigger background, I'm just going to wet up until these little hills here. So I'm just going to use my size 9 Princeton Elite brush, just so that I can get, you know, it wetter quicker. And I did tape it down just because I want a nice little white border on this after. And for the reindeers and Santa, we're going to go in with our black gouache after. So we don't have to be careful going around them, or you don't even have to add them in at all. So remember, we want our paper to be nice and shiny, but no puddles. So anywhere where I'm seeing little puddles, I'm just getting rid of them. Okay. So that's pretty good and saturated, and I'm just going to make sure that there is some water down here at the bottom so that by the time we start from our dark to light, it's not too dry. All right, so I'm going to go back to my size 8 brush, and I'm just going to start with that indigo color. And I'm going to start at the top, just dropping this in. And I might just drop it in a few places. Just going to get a little more concentrated right at the top here. Okay. Then we're going to do that turquoise blue. So that's going to be our next color to overlap. And I think I'm just going to go straight into the pans because I want it nice and bright. maybe some in here, and a little bit over here. I'm just gonna mixing these two up. Okay, then I'm gonna go in with that Viridian blue. And I'm just popping that in wherever I want, and then I'm going to go in with that phthalo green just for a nice little pop. Phthalo green, and I might mix in just a little bit of that sap green. And I'm just tapping it in and mixing it up. And I'm going to go back with that indigo. And I'm just going to kind of darken up a couple little places. And I might even pick a little bit of cerulean blue just down here for the bottom. Maybe go in with a little bit more turquoise and just kind of drop that in into places. You can really, I love these type of cards and these type of artworks because you can really just play with it and do whatever you want. It can be whatever you want. And I'm just going to darken just a touch up at the top. And just make sure those colors are mixing. All right. And we have to remember that our watercolors are going to dry a little bit lighter than what we have, so that's fine. Just drop a little bit more of that bright green in some areas. Maybe I'll go right in with the sap green just to brighten some spots up. Now, while our paper's still wet, we can do this. Once some areas start to dry, it's a little bit harder, so you have to be careful, and I'm just making sure all my edges are covered. Because once it starts to really dry, then you risk getting some blooms. But, I mean, that's part of the fun of watercolor too. All right, so I think I'm going to leave it at that, and then we'll let that dry, and we'll come back with the next stage. Okay, so that's our sky done, and I just went in and darkened up my sketch a little bit so it's easier to see later when I'm putting in my gouache. So now we're going to work on our hills, and I'm just going to take some water, and I'm going to go in with just a little bit of Payne's Gray, but very watered down, so it's more of like a bluish shadow. And I'm just going to start at the top of the hill. So have it a little more concentrated at the top. And then I'm just going to take some clean water and just go down until it would be nothing. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're just going to take more concentrated. And then we're just going to take clean water. And then just let it run down to the bottom. Okay. So we're going to let that dry and we'll come back with our trees. Okay, so now that our hills are nice and dry, we can go in and do some stuff in the foreground. So I'm going to make some trees. So I'm going to take a little bit of indigo and some lamp black and just mix those together. And I'm just going to make sure I have quite a concentrated mix, so it's mostly paint with just a little bit of water so that it will flow. Okay, so I'm going to make a nice big tree here. And I'm just doing little taps. And just pick up a little bit more if you need it. Okay, there's that tree. And I'm just going to go in with a little bit more watered down version of that, just to do a little tiny tree in the background, but it's going to be not as dark. Maybe one over here. That one just kind of all smushed together, so we're just gonna pick it up and do it again. Okay, and then maybe we'll do one that's a little bit closer here. So again, I'm going to go in with a little bit more concentrated paint and do a nice little one here. And maybe another one right here. And I'm just going to slightly define these ones in the back. Okay, so there's our little trees. You can add more if you want. Whatever you want. Okay, so now I'm just going to take a little bit of our black gouache, and I've got a dish here where I've got some already. I'm just going to put, so this is the M-Gram Lamp Black gouache, and I'm just going to put another little dab there. And I'm just going to get some clean water and mix this up. And you know what? I'm going to switch. I'm going to go down to my size 2 brush just to get in the deer and Santa. Okay. you can do whatever design that you want for the background. If you want something else, you do that. Or nothing. This is kind of a cool enough, you know, background. It's almost like the Northern Lights or something. There. So that's our little Santa Claus and reindeer, and I mean, they're not perfect or anything, but they're there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this gouache dry, and then I'm going to go on top with a little bit of stars in the background. So if you guys want to see how I'm going to do that, and I'm going to cover up our little reindeer and Santa, and then we'll do that. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so now that our gouache is nice and dry, I just cut out this little piece of paper here. It was one of the pieces that I used under another card because we were coloring the whole card or painting the whole card. So I just kind of cut it to fit over Santa and our reindeer, and it doesn't have to be anything perfect, but just because they're more in the foreground and the stars and everything in the sky are going to be in the background. So what I've got is this little flat brush here, and this is a water brush, but I don't typically put water in it. I usually just use it for gouache because it's really good at like flicking stars. So we're going to mix up our gouache with some water, some white gouache here, and then I'm going to use this as like a flicking motion like this, but down towards the paper. And that's going to make some nice little stars for us. So we'll get some water and mix up our gouache, and we want it to be quite wet so the stars will be able to fling off the brush. Because if it's too dry, then the paint's not going to flow off of it very easily. All right, and then this is the messy part, but the fun part. So I'm going to move that back, and we're just going to flick our stars on. And if a little bit gets on the trees, that's okay, because it can look like snow too, and maybe I'll do that. And I'm going to make some where the stars are really concentrated in some areas, and maybe we'll do a little bit on the trees too, like there's some snow. And then I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm just going to kind of go close to some of them. There, I think I like that. So that's another Christmas card for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's a little bit different. I kind of enjoy the green background. I like doing different colors in the background, so you can put in whatever you want. So if you guys did enjoy this, please hit the like button and subscribe, because I will be posting these Christmas cards every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.